We gon' talk. We gon' talk. I'll make one thing very clear, where I will be paying my bills through creating content. I will. I mean, it's really not that hard creating content. You just do what you feel called to. And like, I feel like in my head, I used to overcomplicate it so much. And I mean, a lot of people, they want to be like rich and famous, but you'll overcomplicate it. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. You just show up consistently. People are going to watch you. People are on their phones all the time. They're going to watch you. People love to watch other people live their lives. Luckily, I love to live my life. I'm going to make some money for it. And, you know, right now at this point, I'm not making money posting content. And then there's like other videos and stuff that I'll see where it's like, be delusional. Where it's like, it's not even like I feel like I'm being delusional. I don't really like the word delusional because it makes me feel crazy. And this is something like I've always really wanted to do and feel called doing. And so like, I'm gonna do it. And I did write some things down this time because my mind likes to forget what I want to say. But because the only reason why I feel like things really feel delusional is because people are used to seeing you come across a different way. People are used to you putting on the face that you typically put on in front of everybody. And for you to act differently is gonna be like, it's gonna shake some things up and they're gonna like not understand. And that's not your fault whether they understand or not. Because when the way you grew up, you were conditioned to feel, or you were conditioned to act certain ways in order to feel safe. Now, for me, it's know better, do better. And the more I become more and more aware of myself and how much control I actually have over my life, then it's like how you feel about yourself, like truly, like not the insecurities, how you feel confident in yourself, that's truth. That is who the fuck you are. Be who the fuck you are. The delusions are coming from other people. The delusions are how other people are perceiving you. Like, you do not need to be, and that's like why I don't like the word of being delusional, because I'm not. Like, I'm just not. And when I start posting these, I'm obviously gonna come across more confident because I am being myself. And so then the people who and that's a big thing that I want to hit on, is that I am lucky because I have just moved to a new space. And so coming up as my most confident self, or like who I truly feel like I am, it's almost a lot easier because, you know, where I was living, it's like I grew up with all those people. I was around them for years. And so, and that's a big thing, is that I feel like it's hard to recognize when people grow over the years, especially when you're around them the entire time. Because I've been through a lot of phases where I wasn't my most confident self. And I had a lot of coping mechanisms, and, you know, I was just very much living in a state of survival. And before moving here, I did a lot of mental work, and I'm very grateful for myself being able to do that. And because now it's like when things were so chaotic, I don't feel triggered by them anymore. The same things that used to trigger me don't trigger me anymore. And if they do, I'm not reacting. I can be aware of how I'm feeling, but I'm not reacting to it. And, that comes with a lot of practice. That's very hard. You have to really dig into yourself. And look, I was doing a lot of work. I was journaling, and I was just and it's really sitting with the emotion, and that's the hardest part. And it's just crying over years of just not being treated right. And then at the same time, the people that I feel I look up to were just some people online. So it's not always I can talk to these people, because some of the people that were around me, and I'm not judging them, they're in their path of the life that they are, but it's just they're also within that chaotic mindset. They're in survival state, and it's just I can't necessarily grab wisdom from them. And it's not that I didn't have anything to learn from them, because I feel you can always learn something from somebody. But it's just, you really have to be there for yourself, and that can be really hard. But now that I'm in a new place, I can start practicing showing up as my best self and showing up as who I want to be. And you got to catch yourself doing whenever you are out doing things, because I'm now hanging out with some new people, I have a new job, and then it's really how I would try to dim myself down before, and then it's kind of I clock myself. I see it. I see right through myself, and I'm hey, say what you're going to say. Say what the fuck you were going to say. And it's so nice, because once you actually start acting like who you want to be, you become so happy. And it's and some of the most, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not basic, but some of the most, cringy. Some of the most cringy sayings, they're so true. And people are oh no, and complicate it. Stop complicating things. Because obviously when you show up as who you want to be, you're going to become happy. You're going to be happy, because then now they are seeing you as who you really are. And you don't need to not be yourself for people to like you. You meet so many people throughout your life, and even you just walk through the store, you're gonna see 50 people. There's so many people in this world that you don't need to pretend to be like anybody. If you're here, there is space for you. When you try to fit in, that means you're squeezing. That means you're condensing yourself. Okay? And so when you are allowing yourself to be who you are, you allow yourself to take up space, then people are still going to like you. Now, I feel when I meet people, not all the time, but I feel when I meet certain people, I can see what insecurities are running them. And it's not that I judge them, because again, they went through their own past, they did whatever. But I feel I can see some of the insecurities that run them. And I may not know what happened, but what I used to do is that I'm oh, they think this. Now, if I act this way, they'll like me. You know how tiring that was? You know how awful that was? You know how some of those people didn't even stay around because I was trying to act like somebody else? You don't gotta dim yourself down for nobody. People are still going to like you for exactly who you are. When you're around your friends, you're probably going to be acting exactly like who you are, and they stay around you forever. And one thing that I noticed is that I used to resent the town that I grew up in a lot, and then I didn't want to feel that way, and so then I started forgiving the people that treated me the way I shouldn't have been treated. And like, I mean, I didn't like go up to them and then like, you treated me badly. Like, no. I was just like, it's okay. Like, I like who I am now. I wouldn't be who I am without those people. I wouldn't be where I am right now. And actually, hold on. I love myself. And I wouldn't be where I am right now without those people. And so, you know what? I love those people. And once I feel like I really started to show more of my light, once I started to show more of my light, and, you know, I work like in the restaurant industry, so like I work with people a lot, and it's insane. I like how people just started to like naturally gravitate towards me. They were just like happy being around me. And also, like, even like when I go into the stores, and like sometimes there will just be like random people that will start talking to me when I meet people, or even like in the restaurant. Sometimes people will tell me like their whole life story, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful to feel safe for them. But also, I mean, I think it helps when you're very open with yourself. Now, you don't have to be open to them. You don't have to tell them your whole life story, especially if you don't feel like you should. But when you accept yourself, you do a lot better at accepting others. And one of the things that stresses me out is that, and this is like one of the things I'm like currently working on, is that I am a very spiritual person. Like, I feel like I live my life very spiritually. And then people, like, I've had people say this to me. And this is like one of my worst fears too, for people to say this to me. And it was that, like, oh, like, you're like into crystals and shit. Yeah, bitch, I do have some crystals in my room. What the fuck you mean? The fuck you mean? Yeah, the fuck I do. I think they're cool. Now, do I think if I carry obsidian in my pocket, then everything is gonna be all fine and dandy? Like, now, like, my depression's cured? No. But do I still have it in my room? Fuck yeah, I do. And, you know, I feel like it's more of just like their wounds that they have with either spirituality, religion, God, whatever happened. Because I feel like a lot of times what happens is that people are still judgmental, but they're using their religion or their spirituality with judgment. And that is like the number one thing not to do. You don't judge yourself. You accept yourself for who you are. And when you do that, then you can get to where you're going. And so you don't judge others for where they are. And I've talked about this in the past video where, you know, now that I'm out of high school, and me and my friends were all on different paths. So neither am I going to judge myself, or them for where they're at, because we're all on different paths. Like I'm not living their life. So, and like, you know, some people have maybe certain advantages. I don't know if I want to use that word, but or there are just like maybe some things that they still have to learn, or things that they still have to go through and have to process before getting into the next step of their life, and that is perfectly fine. But, and so, and one of my favorite things is that when people have already perceived me a certain way, and then they actually get to know me, and they're like, wow, like, they basically are like, wow, I didn't expect to actually like you. Or like I had this one friend, and like he thought I was going to be more stuck up and just kind of a bitch. And then, you know, we start like not in like a relationship way, but just like, you know, we start working together, and so like we start becoming friends, and he's like, wow, like you're actually kind of cool. And it's like, yeah, I kind of know that already. And I have always been super confident. Like when I was a kid, I've always been super confident. And then there was things that happened where I wasn't. And I feel like coming back home to myself is learning, is practicing being confident. Because when people would compliment me when I was a kid, I'd be like, yeah, I know. And of course, if someone compliments me now, I'm gonna be like, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. But I'm also not going to turn down their compliment. Because that is something I used to do when things weren't going the greatest in my life. And or like I've also like seen other people do this too, where it's like, oh, like that dress looks so good on you, and then they're like, no, like this is wrong with it, this is wrong with it, this is wrong with it. And it's like, oh, okay, like, and I just feel like awkward when people do that. And because like, well, I still think you are, like I still think they look pretty. And it's like why can't you think yourself to look pretty? Like I want you to feel like you look pretty. And the only person that's not allowing themselves to feel like that is is you. Is literally the person that's saying like, you're the only person that allows you not to feel the way you want to feel. Now, I'm not saying the circumstances that you're in aren't hard, and you know, you still have emotions to feel through, but when you truly are yourself, then you can still stand confident in who you are, even through negative emotions. Because, you know, there may be days where I'm like, you know, I don't necessarily feel the greatest about myself. Whereas like, I might put an outfit on that I've worn before, and it's like, oh, like, I don't really feel the same way that I did before, even though nothing's changed. It's just how I'm feeling. And then, you know, I'm like, I have so many clothes, I could totally change my outfit. And I'm just like, you know what? No, like, I wanted to wear this, and just because I may not feel pretty in it now, I felt pretty in it before, I can feel pretty in it again. And I feel like that's honestly a huge thing. I'm like, I think about back to when I was a kid all the time, and how I felt, how I acted, and it's just like, then things happened, and there was things to learn from, there was things to grow with, and then at a certain point, I was like, why can't I feel those feelings again? Well, you can. And it does come with work, because because when you're a kid, you just feel free. And I like, that's honestly like a feeling that like everyone's like searching for, is feeling free, and secure and loved. And, you know, when even the face that you even put on in the morning to go out and then you start talking to people still like you, don't they? There might be a couple people that don't, but honestly, like, I couldn't name you anybody that, like, I know doesn't like me. And that was like, and someone told me that before, because I was always like, oh, they don't like me, oh, these people don't like me. And then somebody had told me, like, that they don't know anyone that doesn't like me. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know, those are really just reflections of myself. And it was just more of like, I was throwing my insecurities on them, on how I thought they perceived me. And so, like, then, like, going back through it, it's like, if people, honestly, like, if people don't like you, then it's really just a perception of themselves. Because that's another thing, is when I didn't really like certain people, or depending on how I didn't like certain people. Now, I choose not to associate myself with certain people. That doesn't mean I don't necessarily like them, because again, they're on the path that they're on, and I'm not going to control that. I have nothing to do with that. But I mean, when I didn't like people, and that was, I mean, a lot of it was like jealousy and envy, because I was trying to fit in. But when you try to fit in, there's no space for you. There's no space for you. So then just be yourself. And I feel like security, because it was, freedom, security, and love. With security, really does have to come yourself. And that's really hard, because I feel like a lot of times we look for external validation, especially when it comes to like this. And sorry, something just distracted me. But when it comes to things like this, like, I felt like I needed that external validation of people needing to like me in order to start posting content. But, like, I don't need to be super popular or anything for people to want to watch my content. Like, there's so many people out in the world, there's so many people on their phones and everything, and that people are gonna watch this anyways. And, you know, I'm not even, like, super stressed out about it, because, like, you know, right now, when I post a video, it might get, like, 50 views-ish, just because I post it on my social medias. But then, the more, and this goes for security, like, you know, you take care of yourself and come up consistently. If I take care of my content and come up with it consistently, then it's gonna take care of me back. But it's knowing where to put your energy into, because if you are showing up for people who are not showing up for you, when people don't take care of themselves, they're not gonna take care of you. Period. Like, I don't want to hear any arguments about that. If people aren't taking care of themselves, they are not going to take care of you. And then there's love. And, you know, I just feel like the more I fall into loving myself, the more people fall into loving me, because I am truly being myself. And when you're being yourself, it also gives them, like, people around you, an opportunity to be themselves. As the video stopped because I had an alarm go off, because it's about time to start getting ready for work. But what I was saying is that when, you know, you fall in love with being yourself, first you have to, like, you have to figure out who you are, who you want to be, and you have to accept everything you once were in the past. And then you truly start to fall in love with who you are, because it's you. Like, You did not come into this life just to hate it. Like, you come into this life and then you fall in love with who you are. And then you're going to start acting like yourself. You're going to be so open with yourself and with other people. You're going to stand confident. And people like confidence. It feels comfortable. It feels secure. and so then it gives people an opportunity to also be themselves. And for them to feel secure. And for them to feel safe. And just like the more I keep going down this road, the more happy and excited I get for my own life. And it's just like, I can't imagine my life not working out the way I feel like it's going to, because I live how I want to. Even though, like, you know, I may not be like financially secure, I still live how I want to. And obviously know that it's not me saying like, oh, I just like go to the mall and buy whatever I want. No, I still take care of myself. I'm still secure within myself. Like, and you know, I also don't need external things to make me feel validated. Like, I can still do as I please without having to need other people or other things happening. And you just flow. But it is time to get ready for work. And I had a fun time talking. Love you.